Morning. Welcome back to Naas and on the other hand, Deon. We've got quite a bit to talk about. Uh, an awful weekend for SA rugby teams in the URC. But before we get to that, morning, Deon. How are you?
Morning, Mars. Good, thanks, and you?
Good. You also had a little bit indifferent weekend because you're busy with the youngsters at the Bulls. One win, one loss.
Yeah, quite mixed emotions there, and a game that we should have won, but yeah,
That sounds quite familiar. Should have.
yeah, it's one that it's gonna bother us for quite some time. But yeah, semi-final of rugby on the day, any team can win.
Okay, let's just look at URC quick here, okay? And I've got a piece of paper in my hand, so I don't want to make any mistakes. Ulster 28, Bulls 7. Now, I call that a surprise result. Okay, firstly, why? If you look at the way the Bulls played, 3-4 times, dropped the ball going over the goal line, okay? A number of occasions where they kept on playing one pass in. You're 2-3 meters away from the goal line. Okay. Where's the best defense is where the ball actually is. Next to that. Okay, that means your first channel. Kept on playing the first channel. Yes, they did score one try. They did. Give him points. But the thing is, missing opportunities in these games because I never thought that the Bulls will lose, especially with the Springboks back in the Bulls side, okay, against an Ulster side. But then the Ulster side got a bonus point out of that. Now, how did you see that whole 80 minutes? Because after that, after you've said your say, I want to say there's a couple of things we need to discuss.
Yeah, look, I think that's a game that the Bulls should have won. Once again, should have, but I think it's a game that they targeted as well as Connacht next weekend. With Glasgow at the end, that will be tough for the Bulls. But having all the box back, you would have guessed that they will win that game. And you would have thought that they would have been the difference yesterday. Yeah, I think that's why you wanted to play them, because I know a guy like Pollard isn't available next weekend. So now you're sitting with a new fly-off again next week. But it was a surprising result. But yeah, I don't think anyone of us would have thought that they'd lose that game.
Did the box make a difference?
I don't think so. I think they lost a little bit of momentum of what they gained the previous two games.
Yeah.
Obviously with Johan there, the guys coming in, getting to know him now and whatever. But yeah, if you Springbok quality, you should make a difference at club level.
Okay, and the assumptions that I did, close to the goal line, the ball not going wide.
Yeah, I think once or twice if you do it, but if you see it's not working for you, why don't play the outside ball? And I'd rather create 2 or 3-on-1 attacking opportunities than trying to push over the line. And how many times do we see players knocking on the ball, and that's
That's the problem.
and like you said, your best defenders are around the rucks. So why teams don't play the outside ball or just the channel wider, I'm not sure. Maybe they're scared to do something close to the try line, but surely you have to back yourself and play the ball wide.
Yeah, but the 90% when you do that, it's two defenders against one attacker. Yes, I see sometimes somebody latch onto someone and try and get like a double hit, trying to get over the line. That hardly happens. We hear the referee often say short, short. Now, somewhere, and I'm going to bring the word in here, creative. Do you really think that because you're in coaching at the moment, okay? And for me, it always flatters. Do you think there's enough creativity when we get close to the goal line? Or are we a little bit more insecure? Because how many times do we see whoever is carrying the ball drops the ball, knock on in the tackle? We've seen that quite often. So do you think there can be a little bit more creativity close to the goal line?
No, for sure. But I think it's teams that just stick to the game plan, to what the coaches say to them. But in that case, where the creativity needs to come in is from your fly off. He needs to see the space on the outside because he's controlling the backs and the forwards. So in that case, I want my fly off to take more control.
Yeah.
And even if it is the game plan, if you've got a 2 or 3 on 1, you have to chuck that out of the door. Play the situation. But I think more fly offs needs to take responsibility, especially close to the goal line, to see where's the space.
Okay. The other thing, and this is not criticizing, we're discussing actually the way rugby is being played at the moment. Okay. The other thing that worries me a little bit is if you try once, we've seen on a number of occasions throughout the year, okay, you get a penalty right in front of the goals, not taking the 3 points, you go touch, you don't score. About 10 minutes later, you get another penalty right in front of the goals, don't take the 3 points, you go touch, you don't score. Okay. Now we've seen that quite often. Now, then sometimes you might miss a kick in the 80 minutes. Okay. That coaches afterwards would like, I want to say, mention and say, yeah, but if we did that, if we did kick it over, we could have won. Now, what about the other 3, 4, 5, 6 opportunities that you had to get the scoreboard ticking over? What's your feeling on this? You know, I don't disagree for trying, okay? But if you don't succeed in a number of occasions, then rather take the points.
You know, I think teams and coaches, they forget scoreboard pressure is something. And if points are available, you should take them. If you're playing, let's say, a Mike lesser team or weaker team and you go for the line out and you know you're going to actually put this team away, fair enough. But when you get into tougher situations and you get to finals games, you need to start taking the points. Because like you said, it's easy to say afterwards, yeah, we should have kicked that one or this one over, but nobody talks about the opportunities that you had and why didn't you take them? But then again, is it a coaching thing or should your captain take more responsibility there and say, listen, yeah, we aren't gaining any gain line success. Let's take the points.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's go to the next guy. Leinster against the Sharks. Now, that was 31-5 Leinster, okay? I don't want to talk about the games because the games weren't that impressive, okay? What I want to talk about is Leinster arrived in South Africa, they lost their first 2 games because no international players played, okay? Suddenly they had quite a number back, so did the Sharks, okay? The score surprised me a little bit. I thought the Sharks is much better than 5 points, to be fair. But are we going to get to a situation where when I play at home, I play my best team? When I'm playing away from home, I'm actually sending a different team. I don't want to call it a B team because it's a squad scenario. Okay. So it's not a, I'm playing Leinster. Doesn't matter who they put on the other side. I'm playing Leinster. Now, if you decide as a coach, I'm selecting a B team, that's your prerogative. I'm not, I'm just playing Leinster. Are we going to see more and more of this? Win your home games, target 1 or 2, maybe 3 away games where you believe you can win, stick your better players in there, win those 3, and then you qualify for the quarterfinals. Are we going to see more of this?
I think we are, especially with the fact that that 30-game rule is going to come into play. Because now you don't even know if your international coach is going to pick you. So let's say you have to play 14 games for your country. How are you going to manage your players? Because you're not sure if they're going to get picked and when do you play them.
Yeah.
But like you say, teams are definitely going to target their home games. And you might see this more often that they send the weaker side to go and play overseas or away.
Okay, so that means where I've always enjoyed the South African mentality. June internationals, end of year tour, URC, we tend to, not in the Investor Cup last year. I thought that was a little bit, I didn't appreciate the attitude of the South African teams where we sort of know we're not going, we can't go and win in Europe. So let's just send the team, and the Bulls actually lost one game 59-15 or 9, something like that, against Northampton. And I thought, okay, this is not the way that sport should go. You every game you must try at least and win. Okay. So the next one is the Benetton Lions. Now that's a big surprise because I know Benetton at home, they've beaten the Bulls what, 4 years ago? 45 something?
No, twice in the same year.
Okay. So that was a surprise, but 41-15. So last night I looked at comments from the Lions supporters, and they extremely unhappy because it's now 3 in a row. Okay. And I feel for the coaching staff, to be honest. As we all know, and we've said it before, if the team wins, it's a great team. If it loses, it's bad coaching, bad captain. Okay. So we've accepted that. That's just the mentality that's around. When looking at the scores, as I said, but what can South Africa do to at least make sure that the Lions are competitive? Because it's now 3 in a row they've lost, né? 2 at home already. So that means that's trouble. Okay. We all know that for the next 4 years, the 4 teams will stay. What can South Africa do? Don't you think we should go back a little bit to the Cats attitude, where you take the Pumas, Griquas, Free State, or the Cheetahs, combine them with what they have at the moment, and maybe combine a little bit of the coaching as is, and see if we can get better results?
Well, you're definitely going to find a stronger team then, and you're going to have a deeper squad to pick from as well.
What is before you go? Are there better players outside with the 3 teams I've mentioned that you can compare with the Lions squad at the moment?
Yeah, well, you're probably going to find a handful at each union, okay, that can contribute to the Lions. But the concerning thing for them is the fact that they lost to Griquas with the URC team in that Currie Cup final. And that raises concerns as well, because the URC is obviously a stronger competition.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you need to maintain that form for 15, 16 weeks. And the alarm bells is already there for them. And I think next weekend doesn't get easier for them. But I think they're coming home.
But they're coming home, yeah. They're coming home.
Yeah, so that'll be a must win for the Lions next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually think it would be a good idea to get other players in, maybe form old Cats.
Yeah.
Just to have a much better team and squad there.
So because we can't criticize the Lions if you have the Bulls losing 28-7, you've got the Sharks losing 31-5. So this is not about criticizing anybody. The thing is that I would like to see is all 4 our teams are extremely competitive in the URC. Okay. Now the Stormers, Scarlets, that's no surprise, because I've told you, I think the last 2 weeks, we really agree the Stormers are a little bit like the informed team. I know it's all home. No, this was away game.
Yeah, that was away.
Yeah. But it's still a great result away from home. Yes, we're not getting much out of Wales at the moment, but it doesn't matter. You must still go and win the games. But 34, no, that's a good score against the Scarlets, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's the second time they've kept out a team. The other one was Leinster.
Yeah.
So hats off to them for their defense. But like you say, it's a bonus point win away from home. And I actually think their Springboks made a difference in their team. Guy like Sasha, Damian Willemse, those guys made a difference for them.
Okay. So we're not complaining too much that we agree. The Stormers is a little bit an informed team for the South Africans. But still the Bulls, they had 3 opportunities. Now it's easy to say. It's like you said, shoot at. Okay. If they scored 1 or 2 tries, could have been totally a different ball game. But at the end, you have to go on the scores. Okay. Then I'm just going to mention Cardiff beating Connor. That's a little bit of a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Glasgow 49 Dragons. No surprise there.
No, but that's the concern for me last weekend with the Sharks playing the Dragons when they drew the game.
Yeah.
That's a game that they should have won.
Yeah.
You need to target those kinds of games, especially away. You should feel that you should beat them. I know it was raining a lot and whatever, but yeah, I think the better team putting the Dragons away yesterday.
Okay, Ospreys 24 Zebras. We actually mentioned when the Ospreys played against the Bulls, they're actually not a bad side. But they may be the one side out of Wales that can actually make it difficult for opposition.
You know, they scored a couple of good tries here at Loftus, and they also didn't have a bad outing against the Stormers the weekend after that. Tough start for them playing the Bulls and Stormers away first. But yeah, no surprises if they got their first victory yesterday.
Okay, Munster over Edinburgh 2019. For me, to be honest, not really a surprise. Because why? It's like out of Ireland, we normally get 3 out of the 4 that produce. Not maybe year in and year out, but you've got Leinster always performing, Munster nearly always, Ulster is the third one, and then Connacht. If you eat them on a Friday night in Connacht, yeah, you can have a big problem. It can be very difficult.
Never easy there. The interesting thing about that game is Munster didn't kick one kick over. They scored 4 tries, but not one conversion. So it could have been a game that cost them because at some stage they were 19-10 behind. So kicking is definitely a concern there as well.
Let's just quickly touch on kicking. Okay. My feeling about kicking is if you're the kicker, it's your job to kick it over. 85+%. For me, that's the success rate. 60, 65, that's not good. Then you're not doing your job properly, if I can put it that way. Then I don't know why I'm actually paying you if you do that. Now, the only time I will actually, and I know it's very dangerous to say this, okay, because I did once or twice in my career also, so I know how it feels. The only time when I will actually put the blame on the kicker is if there is no seconds on the shot clock, and it is a kickable kick. It's not a penalty out of your own 22. Okay, it is kickable. Okay, and he misses. Okay, that's where I believe that distinguishes the good players and the great players, or good kickers and great kickers that can handle the pressure. Am I on the right track here?
No, for sure. Especially at professional level, you have to kick above 85%. And like you say, some of these guys are there for their kicking, but they not delivering.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a handful of guys that's actually kicking very well at the moment. And you need to take advantage of a good kicker as well. Some teams are fortunate to have someone, some don't. But like you say, then you have to convert your points.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Munster, not slotting one of them is a concern.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just unacceptable. Okay. The international window, normally it was 3 weeks in November. It looks to me like November now is an international window. The whole of, why I'm saying that is, listen to this. I actually checked a little bit because we can't make mistakes on this program, okay? Because some people that appreciate us, they like us. So, but if we make a mistake, we hear from them. On the 1st of November, listen to this. This is lovely. And I can't wait. Barbarians against the All Black 15. Okay. Then England, Australia. Then South Africa, Japan. Munster, Argentina, Argentinian 15. Scotland, United States. Ireland, New Zealand. Okay, now we know New Zealand's playing the Grand Slam. Okay. So they need 4 weekends. So that's actually an amazing weekend to start looking forward to. But we know that the URC is breaking. They've got next week and the week after that, then they're back. Okay. But I gather the international players will only maybe still play next week. Then they will move on, don't you think? Yeah. Because I think Rassi will take at least 2 weeks preparation because we've got 5 internationals. Okay. So that's that. Now, on November the 5th, okay, UK Armed Forces 15 against Germany. That's quite an interesting one. Bristol Bears playing Argentina 15. Georgia playing United States. That can be actually quite an interesting game. Ireland, Japan. Let's see. I thought that Japan is through or under Eddie Jones might get a little bit stronger. They got really some nice results, but they also struggled a little bit. England against All Blacks 15. That can be quite a nice game. What I appreciate is suddenly a lot of countries is making an effort with the players that's not actually playing on a regular basis on the international scene. And I think that's important, Deon, because we see too often too many players not playing, and then when they get let's say a chance, they make a mess of it, and then it's like they disappear.
Yeah, and I think those kind of games will also draw crowds.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to see all the games that you see every year in and out. And I think that's where people started like losing interest.
Yeah.
Because it's year in, year out, the same teams. And that's why you're seeing empty stadiums. So these kind of games will basically lift the spirits to see some new players and new teams playing each other.
And then we've got a couple of interesting ones: Romania, Canada, Portugal, Uruguay, Scotland, New Zealand, as we mentioned, Spain, Ireland. Can be a nice test for Ireland. For Spain, not for Ireland. England, Fiji, Italy, Australia. Okay, big game. We have to just touch on it. We'll in the weeks coming we will talk about this. South Africa, France.
No, I think that's the big one that everybody's looking forward to. And France and Ireland is the two games that the box will target at this year to.
Yes.
I don't think Wales and Japan will be a problem. And I think those two games are going to be massive.
I'm just when we're going to finish up with this, okay? Because this we can sit here for hours and hours and just keep on discussing. What do you think? And I know it's a World Cup that's past and whatever. Do you think we sort of somewhere dented the French confidence?
I think that World Cup game will still be in the back of their minds. They will, and I know DuPont isn't ready for the end of year tour.
Yeah.
So that'll be a loss for them. But yeah, that would be in their minds, and I think the box have the edge on them with that. But being the second game of the end of year tour is going to make it interesting. Okay.
Now that's us for today. If you've got any questions, send them. If you've got any remarks, we would love to hear that. Your input always help a little bit of just maybe change a little bit of the way we think about things. But as we all say, as long as our African teams keep on winning, we're happy. But unfortunately, this weekend was not a great weekend for South Africa.